Thank you, everyone, for coming to our first CAD data translation Ask Me Anything with Leonel, our product manager for both Hoops Exchange, data access, and Hoops Publishing. That's our Hoops Publish product. We have another session, same time next week, which we'll be talking with Eric Hultgren about our graphics products here at TechSoft. So if that's something that interests you, please come back. But this is meant to be pretty informal, just an opportunity for us to connect with our partners and our users and ask different questions and get to know each other a little bit more. But then also talk about what's coming in the future with our CAD data translation tools, translation, access, and publishing. And we have about an hour allotted for this. If we go over, that's fine. If we go under, that's fine as well. This isn't meant to be like a big production, but just an opportunity for us to get together with our community. And because of that, I'm actually going to stop sharing. We'll have an opportunity to look at maybe a roadmap slide. That's the only other slide that we have prepared for you today. But let's just have a conversation about CAD data access. So I want to introduce Leonel. If we know many people on the call today, but also we'd like to get to know Leonel a little bit. So Leonel, just real briefly, how long have you been at TechSoft? What do you do at TechSoft? And kind of what's your background prior to working with us?
Okay, so yeah, hello everybody. Quick introduction about myself. Long story, but I almost an old guy. But yeah, I've been working for TechSoft for almost 6 years as a product manager. Initially, I've been dealing with some end user products. We are selling Tetra 4D end user solution to produce 3D PDF documents, and I moved to the product management for the interoperability and the publication toolkit something like 3 years ago. And prior to this, in fact, I started. I'm more mechanical engineer, design engineer, and I moved to software development for my first job, so more than 20 years ago. And then I quit development to become pre-sales for a CAM company, an Israeli CAM company during years. And then I moved to a French startup that was dealing with design review solutions for end users as well as toolkits. And I was there as a pre-sales, and I became also a product manager. And just before joining TechSoft, I've been dealing in a PLM company, a reseller, partner of SolidWorks. So I've been doing PDM and PLM during something like 5 years. And finally, I came to TechSoft about 6 years ago as I said, product manager. So yeah, this is it.
Yeah, thanks, Leonel. We're happy to have you. So. People are muted. We appreciate that. If you put some your questions in the chat there, we'll answer them. I have a couple already that people have submitted prior to this session. Let's start off with a softball question though for you, Leonel. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Great, easy question. Thanks.
Mine's Rocky Road. What's your favorite flavor? All right, that didn't land. That's okay. As you know, this is the first step for us. So how about a harder question? Does Hoops Exchange plan to have some reverse engineering capabilities in the near future? And so features like creating a BREP model from a tesslated model, some competitors already have this feature. So what's we're not going to press you on committing to things, but just we want to get your mind share on that.
Yep, good question. So what we see currently is that and we think there will be a growing usage of mesh data in the future. We know that there are more and more scanners in phones, on different devices, and more powerful scanners. So it's very easy to get a mesh from whatever actual data. And what we see also is new hybrid modeling capabilities that are available in different solutions. The first one I would mention is Siemens Parasolid. They have been investing during years on what they call the convergent modeling. So it's something that came, progressively, but with the latest version, 32, they have a full support of this convergent modeling. So it's possible to have an actual BREP object and to, for example, execute Boolean operations with a mesh. And at the end, you will have geometric surfaces on the body, as well as faces that are defined by mesh data, by triangles. And what we see also is that the softwares that are leveraging Parasolid are also moving along that path by they start to implement this convergent modeling capabilities, in fact. So we think that because of that, we think that reverse engineering on mesh probably is something that will become less important in the future because it will be possible to directly work with these hybrid models. And of course, when you can avoid a conversion step, it's always better. So our position regarding Exchange is that currently we don't have plans in the near future to introduce such reverse engineering functions. Another point I didn't mention is that we, in our graphic toolkits also, we already have the ability to work on mesh data or on heterogeneous data for measurements, for example. It's just a small example. And at Exchange, we keep on focusing on reading and maintaining the data. So what we want to read is what we want to manage. Sorry, is really what's coming from the CAD file. So we are already taking that into account. We have made some improvements in our SolidWorks reader, for example, to well handle this kind of situation where you have in the part you have a BREP body and we have some meshes, and we have also improved our Parasolid bridge to make it sure we are managing this data correctly, the right way. However, so I don't know where this question is, who has asked this question, but I would be happy to discuss this. It's a general statement I gave you, but of course there can be some particular workflows or particular areas where it would make sense, of course. So I'm open to have a discussion about this to better understand your requirement.
Yeah, thanks for that, Leonel.
Yep.
I don't have the submitter for that, but that's an interesting point that instead of moving from mesh to BREP and then doing modeling off of that, we have tools like Parasolid that allows you to model on the mesh data using their convergent modeling. And then also we have, remind me, I know we have a connection with Parasolid. When we read mesh data, let's say that mesh data is coming in as STL into Exchange, does that very easily move into Parasolid and into their convergent modeling workflow?
Yes. This is something which is supported.
Okay. All right.
If I may, it was my question, and our workflow is in a way that we load the CAD file, do the meshes, and do our calculation, and then during the calculation there are some deformation in form of shrinkage and warpage, for example. Now, our customer wants to go back to the CAD system and adjust the original file to the thing that we calculated for them, but it is really hard for them right now. They have to compare it. Okay, where it changed, which node changed. Let me go and change my design there. So this is, I think, many softwares that, simulation software that work on this optimization solution may face. And this is why I asked this question.
Okay, yes, thank you, Lionel. I understand well now, and it's a particular use case, it's a particular workflow in the simulation area. I understand it better. Okay, I will come back to you to discuss that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Leonel and Lionel. Next question from Elvis. Thank you. So, do you still plan to provide Nuget packages for Hoops Exchange?
Good question. I think so. I'm not specialist in this area. I discussed recently with the team, Elvis. I don't have the answer in mind. Sorry. I think it's doable. We will connect with you again. I know you have asked the question probably a long time ago. So this is not something we have today, but I think it's doable. We could consider this. I will connect back to you.
So we also have Eric Hultgren on the line today, who is our product manager of graphics. And I don't want to put him on the spot or grill him. His day is next week, but that does kind of lend to a question. So we do try to do things in a collaborative way here at TechSoft. Him and Leonel work quite closely together. Eric, can you remind me, do we support Nuget packages in our, let's say, visualize package? Is that something we're doing currently?
We don't have official support for that yet, Jonathan, but we are certainly looking at different ways that we can make our software accessible. Internally, we are using Conan for some of our dependencies across the different products, especially in Communicator, because it uses all the other Hoops products. So we're definitely considering moving to more modern distribution.
Great, thanks for that, Eric. So it's a distribution mechanism. For the people who are online, so Elvis, obviously that interests you. If you could open up your participant panel, and you should have the opportunity to either say yes or no. But let's just take a quick poll on people who are interested and would adopt Nuget technology within their package. Could we see how many people who might be interested in that with a yes? So we got Mike, Elvis, Leona. We have a no. And I think Robert Byer, if you could just, it looks like we got 3 yeses and 1 no, 2 no's. All right, thanks for that. It's a little quick and dirty market research. All right, next question for you, Mike. To everyone, hello. All, do you provide a way to detect empty geometry CAD files in Hoops Converter?
Well, that one's geared right to Communicator there. But yeah, we don't expose any way to do that, but it actually would be something that we could do because, of course, Converter reads in files. Well, assuming it's a CAD file, it reads it in through Exchange, and there's things that we could check for inside Exchange to actually see if it's an empty CAD file or not, right? Is there any part representations in there, or is it just an assembly model tree or an assembly model file with no product occurrences or product occurrences with no representation items? So, that's definitely something we could support. we don't do it now, it actually would be a pretty trivial enhancement.
Yeah. And it's something you can do programmatically with pretty low effort. Mike, I just want to dig into that question a little bit more just to make sure we're all on the same page. Thank you, Eric, for answering that. You're talking about hoops converter. Is that, are you particularly interested in so we have hoops exchange, which Leonel is talking about, that reads CAD data, and we wrap that online, like in a web context or a cloud context, with something called hoops converter. And I know our different product names can get a little bit confusing as you dig down. So are you interested in hoops exchange, let's say running on a desktop machine, or hoops converter that is designed to kind of run in a cloud context? And again, hoops exchange can be run on the cloud as well, but if you could clarify that, that would be fantastic. Leonel, did you have something, like, we can answer that from the exchange side too? Do you have an answer for that?
No, same as Eric. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we don't have an error message that we throw, but you can easily walk the model tree to see what is or is not there. All right. So thank you. All right. From Leona, GLB, GLTF export. Those are file formats, specific. They're kind of like advanced descriptions of textures and physically based rendering. So kind of a new format that we use for importing, but for exporting, as you may know, PowerPoint allows the user to add 3D files to their PPTX files. What they do is that they internally convert any 3D file format that they support to GLTF. The challenge for us is that we want to programmatically create a PowerPoint report that includes a 3D model, but Hoops Exchange doesn't support this export. Would that be something on the roadmap? So good question about roadmap. I know we supported, about a year ago, we started supporting GLTF import. What about GLTF export?
Yeah, so it's not something we will address in the coming 6 months, I think. We're having other priorities, but it's a candidate format for, I would say, next year, probably end of the year. So we have several formats we are currently considering, GLTF, GLB being part of them. And yeah, no decision has been made so far, but it's something that will be considered probably next year.
Great. So on that, since we have a number of people here, who besides Leona would benefit from GLTF export? If we could have, let's see if I can clear these. All right, so I'm going to clear those, and if we could do a quick show of yeses or nos. We have one no. Just give a second for that, for people to vote. 2 no's. I know, Leona, it's a yes. Yeah, or we don't know. Yeah, that's fine too. All right, thanks for that. Keep the questions rolling. I have a couple here. We're having a similar session in North America coming. I have a few questions from that group of people as well that we may have a chance to answer, because I think they're quite interesting. That's a good question. They sent to me privately. So question 1, Leonel, what are the top 2 or 3 big ticket items in the roadmap for the next 3 years? So big initiatives that we're thinking about. And I know when you start talking about timelines that long, like, we do try to be pretty agile at TechSoft, but we do have some strategic vision and direction as well. So maybe you can talk about that.
Regarding I would say we want to definitely help our partner optimize their processes. So, Exchange, it's about reading the geometry, assemblies, one point. Second one is that data that are provided by Exchange must be, how to say that, accessed by applications that are using a modeling kernel, whatever it is, Parasolid, ACIS, OpenCascade, or a native private one, a homegrown one. And the third axis of Exchange is also, as I said, to optimize processes. So by accessing not only to the geometry, but also accessing other semantic data that are machine readable, and that definitely will help your application, your end users, to work efficiently. So I think it remains a strong axis for us. So we are supporting metadata, we are supporting product manufacturing information, graphic and semantic. We have been moving forward in supporting the features. So mostly for the tier 1 formats. So the formats we see that are the most used by your customers. So tier 1 is CAD V5, NX, Creo, and SolidWorks. And now we have an investment on the assembly constraints, the mates, so the way the parts have been, the way they have been assembled in the CAD package. This is mostly to help people from robotic, for example, from factory design, so to help them, automate their processes. So it's an investment we are starting on with CAD V5, and we will continue this investment next year and probably year after to address all the tier one formats we support. So short story, in fact, it's reading more and more semantic data, and we may also consider to read more semantic data such as features and mates for some other tier 2 formats like maybe Inventor or Solid Edge, for example. So this is really an area of investment. Beside this, you know that we have been moving forward in the BIM area. We introduced some different readers like Revit, like AutoCAD DWG. We have also the IFC reader currently, and so I'm speaking about Exchange, but talking about BIM, it's more a platform investment, because we are combining, of course, we are making some decisions at the product team from this platform point to make it sure that what we read in Exchange is well leveraged in the context of OOPS Communicator, in the context of our graphic engines, so OOPS Visualize and OOPS Communicator. So it's not only a matter of reading data, but it's also a matter of having operators in the graphic engine, such as measurement operators, that really fit with what people developing such applications in BIM area are expecting to find. So I don't want to detail that, but it's really a combined investment at platform level to well serve our partners who are developing BIM applications. I think these are the two main topics I can mention now. Another area, but it's a little bit early to talk about it, is that we are also, I'm not gonna mention any vertical, but we may have some new initiative to better serve some vertical markets. So not the MCAD and not the BIM verticals, but this is something in terms of organization. At TechSoft, we are currently considering to focus on, so to have people, dedicated teams dedicated to serve a vertical. So at the product level, we will work on identifying what are the most promising verticals for us, where we will bring the best value to our partners, and we may make decisions to invest, I don't know, 6 months, this particular team, 6 months, 1 year, a little bit more. Just sorry for that. Yep. So yeah, this is something we will probably announce, or we will give some visibility in the coming months about these initiatives.
Great. So just to summarize, Leonel, like if we were to say 3 initiatives over the next 3 years is pretty big, but I think your runway is about a year out. So we're focusing on, let's say 1, semantic data coming from CAD files, 2, mating information for tier 1 CAD files, and then 3, continuing our investment in the architectural building and construction space. That's been a strategic initiative for the last 2 years, but when you support a new file format, it always you kind of support the geometry, but there's all this additional information that you continue have to. It takes time, a lot of energy for us to kind of get all of the data out of those files. Is that a good recap of kind of what we're looking at for the next year or so?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's it.
And then thanks for kind of being a little vague about let's say new verticals, but it is public knowledge that TechSoft has brought on some investment, and we grow internally at TechSoft, but we also are looking at acquiring other companies, and so it's exciting to see what opportunity we have to kind of collaborate with other companies and bring their products to market. So that is exciting for probably people here as well to know about that there's going to be more product offerings from TechSoft, and working within that ecosystem. So that's super exciting. Thank you. Next question came in from our survey, and thanks for pushing that over. It was kind of a latecomer to our survey. So where was that? Yes. Any plans on integration with .NET? So right now our API is C. Yeah. Why don't you talk about that, Leonel?
So .NET, you mean C#?
I would imagine.
Yeah. Good question. So currently we have a C API. We don't have currently an official C# wrapper, C# API. What we have is a small sample of what could be a C# wrapper. There is some complexity to develop such wrappers, but we know it's something doable, and we have some partners who already developed such wrappers. So it's an open question currently. We don't have plans short term, but we could consider to officially deliver this C# wrapper. What I don't know is about the coverage of the exchange functions and the coverage of the workflows. But as a first step, we could imagine to have, for example, a wrapper that would cover all the get functions, all the data access functions. So to help our partners, of course, develop quickly in their C# environment.
Great. We do have partners that have taken that example and have wrapped most of the API. For that, I think it's another opportunity. Could I see a set of yes or no's of people who may be interested in a C# wrapper for Hoops Exchange? All right, so we have 2, 5 yes, 6 yeses. Uh-oh, Leonel, 7 yeses. We're in trouble. Yeah.
Good information. Good information.
Yeah. No, that's great. And 6 yeses, 1 no. Great. Thank you so much for that. another question about roadmap. This was kind of like a two-part question. So you asked about the big ticket items, but what is one item that is most exciting, but not on our current roadmap? So just kind of, that's more of an industrial question. So if you had infinite resources, Leonel, what are you excited about that you would like to kind of support, but we don't have the resources quite yet to do that?
Very good question. Probably I would work on data preparation. Currently, there are some solutions on the market. We are working with Polygonica, for example, but at platform level also, you know that we are supporting AR and VR workflows. It can come to, so for Exchange, it would probably mean data prep would mean calculating different level of details. So it's already something doable, but maybe a different way. And then you have polygon decimation, tessellation simplification, shrink wrapping. So some of the Polygonica is a high-end solution, and I think we could have a lower end at our level, but that would really serve the workflows that are addressed by, again, our platforms, native platforms with Visualize and web platform with Communicator. So this is really something I'd like to work on from Exchange side. It's a smaller topic, but we have different requests from various partners about new formats. So sometimes it's difficult to say no, but you know that we are maintaining and we are updating our CAD readers every time there is a new version on the market. So it's taking something like 30% of our time to maintain the formats. So it's really a big investment. But ideally, I would like to address also more formats. We have requests for QIF, so it's quality inspection framework for people who are doing in the quality and control industry, CMM machines and company. We have requests for Creo view. We have also requests for additional BIM formats, so we may consider some of them next year. But yeah, it's with an unlimited bandwidth. Definitely, I think we would also tackle additional formats in MCAD, in visualization, and also in BIM. Yep.
Great, thanks, Leonel. So how about? Thank you so much. Do the C++ API have equivalent functionality as C API? Only the C API is documented. Can they be used both simultaneously, for example, while migrating from C to C++ API?
So yeah, to be clear, so it was before I became product manager for Exchange, so I don't have all the history, but so Exchange is a C API. We have been working on a C++ wrapper several years ago, and this is something that has been deprecated for different technical reasons. We were having very complex problems for some particular workflows. Some of our partners wanted to address, and also we made the decision to go to a wrapper because regarding our bandwidth, it would not have been possible to develop and to maintain in parallel a C API and a C++ API. But so this is something that has been deprecated. Last year, we have made some new investment with a different approach that I can't detail because I am not enough technical to dig into this. But it was promising, and we moved forward. So we have been investing months on this, and at the end we came to drop in performances. So reading time increased, and memory consumption also, and we put that project on hold. And so currently we don't have plans to rework short term on a C++ API, unfortunately. This is not our high priority for us. I understand that it's causing additional pain for some of our partners, but we are not working on this currently.
All right, thanks, Leonel. Could you give some examples of semantic data that will be exported from CAD files, your initiative for the next few months?
Yeah, so it's about the mates, the assembly constraints. If it's the question, so a mate is in a CAD package when you are designing the assembly. Usually there are a set of functions to ease the positioning of the parts together, and the CAD packages are proposing functions, for example, to make some planes coincident. So it's a planar constraint. You can have axis to axis constraint, for example. And each of these mate is something which is stored in the CAD file itself. We can make a kind of parallel with a feature. So and a mate, in fact, it's defined by references to parts. So there is a constraint between part A and part B. This constraint is having this type, so it's a planar constraint, it's a coincidence, it's an axis constraint, as I said. And in some cases, there are additional attributes. If you define a plane-to-plane constraint, you can also define an offset, because you want them to be parallel, but you don't want them to be coincident. You want a distance of X millimeter, for example. And so this will be exposed as semantic information. Yeah, our aim is really to support most of the existing mates. There are I would say a first level of mates, as I said, and there are some planar constraints, cylindrical constraints, and some others. And there are some more advanced constraints that are probably less used, but we are currently learning what our partners are willing to do, are requiring from us. And the more advanced constraints, for example, it can be a kind of a gear constraint between two gears. I don't know if we will support them, but we will wait for the first delivery. So it should come as a first version for the V5 mates. It should come in Exchange 2021. So our next major release targeted end of November this year, and we will work with our sponsors, because we have several partners who are strongly waiting for this, and we will work with them to determine the next steps, of course. And as I said earlier, we will keep working on CATIA V5 next year after the first delivery, and then we may consider addressing other formats, depending on the priorities our sponsors will, and our partners, of course, other partners will give us.
Great, thank you. Are there any plans for adding Boolean functionalities to Exchange?
What functionality? Sorry.
Boolean. Yeah. Union.
Boolean.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. No, we don't have such plans. We read the data. We maintain the data in our PRC structure as they were defined as they are defined in the file. So it means we don't make any translation to an intermediate format. So this is really one strength of Exchange, and it helps in having good performances, reading time performances, and memory. But when our our PRC data model is populated, then we have a set of functions to adapt when it's required by the targeted application to adapt some of the surfaces from these parts. But our goal at that point is really to, and this is what the Exchange API is, in fact, is to give the ability to our partners, to their applications, to really pull the data they need, to adapt them when it's required, and to get this data in their application, in their modeler, in their modeling kernel. And this is why we are having a bridge with Parasolid. We also have a non-official bridge with Open Cascade, and we have also some strong expertise with AC's kernel. But to summarize, we don't plan to step forward into any modeling capability. It's not in our plans.
Yeah, that's fair. We know what we're good at is data access. We'll leave the modeling up to the Parasolid guys or Open Cascade and ACES.
Yeah.
Eric Hultgren, I might have to pull you in on this one a little bit because our products are designed to work together in a platform. So what exactly is the relationship between Hoops Converter, included in Hoops Communicator, our cloud and web application or SDK, and Hoops Exchange? I take it they share a common code base, but how are they different? And what is the policy, standard procedure, and timeline for bringing updates from Hoops Exchange into Hoops Communicator releases?
Sure. So the assumption is correct. Converter actually uses all of the other Hoops products. It uses Visualize, both for image export and also reading in a couple of file formats. It uses Publish to export 3D PDFs, and it uses Exchange to read in all of the file formats that Exchange supports. Now, we do that by using the actual Exchange libraries. So Converter, there's two different ways to use that same functionality, right? You can use our lib converters, right? So you can actually set up your own conversion executable and use that on your server. So it gives you more control at the API level, or you can use Converter for essentially batch mode or instances where you only really want an executable and you want to be able to pass those command line arguments to it. And so, yes, it absolutely includes Exchange, which is one reason that it is so powerful. As for our policy on getting, essentially rolling out the improvements from an Exchange release out to Communicator, there isn't an official, okay, we do that within X number of days. However, we have always tried to get updates out as soon as possible. So of the two products that both use Exchange, Visualize and Communicator, it's actually easier to take updates inside Visualize, because in the case of an actual update release from Exchange, for instance, Service Pack to update 1, assuming that it has binary compatibility, you can just drop it in place. We can't do that with Converter. And so it's really critical. We essentially have to rebuild the entire thing and make that available to our partners. Now, one thing that we are working on, and we being the engineering team, is to actually remove some of the issues that we've had in being able to essentially keep the products in sync, to be working with Exchange as it is being developed and we are developing Communicator, rather than waiting until we get close to the end of our Communicator cycle and then we'll pull in the latest or what they consider to be the safest build of Exchange and trying to create packages from that. So instead, what we really want to be able to do is always be working in tandem, and also so that we can very easily say, okay, we've already been testing this now for the last month, and so when it's ready to hit, Exchange releases, and then we should be able to release a Communicator update so that our partners can take advantage of that as fast as possible.
Great. Kind of on that, if you keep your mic open, Eric, Hoops Communicator, you're off the hook for a few minutes here, Leonel. Hoops Communicator lib converter outputs model metadata attributes attached to objects, the hierarchy of objects, etc., as an XML containing many nodes and more. Where can I find more information about the XML file? Is there XSD schema for it or anything similar?
Oh,
may I attach a sentence to this question, because it was my question.
Okay, Florian.
And
yes.
Because I meantime I get clear that I became aware that actually one of my sub questions on this is this XML different between different input formats? So I just like to add this one sentence.
It should not be different, assuming they all come through Exchange. Okay. And the reason for that, of course, is that, you know, the libconverter will use Exchange to import the files. It will put that in a PRC. We then walk that PRC to generate this information and export it. So regardless of whether it's an IFC or a DWG or a Revit file, they should be behaving the same way. Now, if you're talking about importing, for instance, one of your HSF files from your previous app, then those results could behave differently simply because it's not going through Exchange. It's not being brought into PRC.
I'm guessing,
Okay.
Florian, from your question, that might not be your experience. So why don't we kind of
Not
investigate?
necessarily. I'm
Okay.
no. The question was simply based on the thought of how good a decision it would be to rely more on those XML files in light of the fact that we do import several formats. So if I already know that I have to do different implementations for different source formats, then I might go a different route. But that was the basics of the question. That's also why I'd like to know more about the format, though I'm not expecting, of course, any like listing of what's all in that XML now in this session, just some pointers on where I can get some more info in the future.
Sure. So in that regard, what we need to do, I'll have to go back to engineering and see where they have specified, you know, what is contained in that XML, and we can probably send that to you.
Okay, thank you. Much appreciated.
Great. And then I think this may be your last question, Florian. Hoops Communicators libconverter offers a method to save a PNG file. It would seem this feature triggers the server-side rendering of a single frame of the 3D model. Would it be conceivable to extend this functionality in such a way that custom cutting planes can be set for this snapshot PNG? Ooh, that's an interesting question.
Well, I don't see any reason it wouldn't be technically possible, just simply because we do support that in the server side. It would just come down to exposing the ability to do that via the APIs. So yeah, I mean, it you know, certainly should be possible.
Yeah. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it would have to be through the API, huh?
Yeah.
That is fantastic. We'll give our attention back to Leonel here. Leonel, I understand. Let's kind of get things a little bit lighter here. I understand that you are a lover of movies, because we can't talk about tech all the time. As I put up the roadmap, right? Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Yeah. So I know you really love movies. What's the next one on your list that you really want to see?
I think it's Tenet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't see it already. So the last one, I like a lot science fiction movies, and one I was very late to see it, but it was last Sunday. It was Blade Runner 2049, and the next one on my list is Tenet.
So if you like science fiction, are you looking forward to the Dune remake?
Yes, yes, I think it will come this year.
Yeah, it looks
in France.
Looks pretty good, huh?
Pretty promising, yeah. Yeah.
Great, man. We've spent a bunch of time together. I want to make sure that we get this in the hour. I think right now the running list of questions we've gone through those, which is fantastic. But Leonel, would you like to just talk a little bit about our roadmap and some of the more finite things we delivered, and then we're expecting to deliver throughout the rest of this calendar year?
Yeah, so you can see when we have been delivering the updates for the CAD format. So currently we are at SP2. In fact, SP2 has been released Monday this week, and so the coming formats, coming updates will be end of November. So existing formats, it's update to SolidWorks 2021 as well as Revit 2021, and we are introducing two new formats: 3MF read, mostly for 3D printing. More and more CAD solutions are natively exporting to 3MF for 3D printing purposes. So we are getting requests to also from our side read these 3MF files. And the other one is the IFC writer. So it will be a first version. So it will have a limited scope in terms of supported IFC classes, but it's really to step in this BIM world for design applications, for example, factory design, and these guys are willing to export their data to other BIM applications, whatever the discipline. It could be for model federation, it could be for QTO or whatever, and so some are asking us for an IFC write. So this one point I would make here is that in the past we were mostly or mainly releasing format updates in our major release and in our service packs. So something new is that now we are starting, and this is what you can see here with Creo 7 in our update 1 and Siemens NX in our update 2. We are releasing format updates when they are available, of course, in our updates also. There is no API change, not a lot of documentation change, so this is something that we can do. The goal, of course, being to provide you with the support of the latest version as soon as possible. And our internal goal, and also this is what we are claiming, is that we deliver updates for the tier 1 formats in less than 90 days. And so for Creo 7, we were on time because Creo 7 has been released end of April, and with Siemens also it's the same because this version has been released end of June. And so we are really and this is also thanks to some engineering efforts in terms of our team. How do we do the QA, the testing? We are getting some better level of quality in a shorter term, and thanks to these ongoing efforts, we are able to deliver more in our updates. And from a more general standpoint, we have a big initiative of continuous integration at TechSoft. So it's not only for Exchange, but all our engineering team, and to really be in a position to deliver more releases more often, and to provide you with bug fixes, with new functions, and with format updates in a shorter period. And quickly to maybe to finish what some other topics for the next major release. So I already spoke about the mates for CATIA V5. We have been working, and we keep working on some improvements for some BIM formats regarding quality and performances, so mostly for Revit and DWG. And we are also starting to work on a new platform, which is Mac ARM. We know that these devices, this new Mac will come next year, So we already have development and packages, of course, plus the Mac, of course, because we have several partners asking for this. So we will have probably an early version of first, I would say, beta version of Exchange available on Mac ARM with 2021. Goal being to officially support it probably in our Exchange 2021 SP1 that will come end of, as you can see here on the slide, end of March next year.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that, Leonel. Any questions on the roadmap? Thanks for sharing that. That's fantastic. That just rounds out our discussion well, Leonel. Before we go, first, thank you. We appreciate, of course, everybody's partnership here at Technology, at TechSoft 3D, and you know, we're really grateful to be able to work with different companies like we have today, and to help you fuel innovation in your respective industries. We also value your partnership and just your friendship. So I'm curious, this is the first time we've done this here, this Ask Me Anything. Could I just see a show of, what kind of puts you on the spot, but just a show of yeses if this, you found this hour valuable? Great. Yeah, so it looks like a nice, we have a number of TechSoft employees on just listening in too. So it seems like it was overall seems valuable. I know sometimes I listen into a Zoom meeting and I'm like, on marketing this or marketing that. But just thanks for your time. We appreciate that. I think that's pretty much it that we have today. If you have other questions, feel free to reach out to Leonel or myself, and we'll make sure we get those answered. I know, Leonel, you have a few follow-ups to do with today. Hopefully we got those notes. Some interesting market research. That was great. It was nice to just talk with you guys today a little bit. And we hope you have a good evening. Thank you so much. We'll be doing some more events coming up. We have a technical training series at TechSoft. If you go to our website, check that out if you want to get some technical training. We're going to continue that throughout the end of this year and next year around a number of different topics. And then look forward to our product launch either toward the end of this year or early next year. We'll have another online session, a little bit more fun. We've been doing a product update, roadmaps, and happy hours. We'll see if we can't get some libations out to our registrants for that. So that should be a fun time as well. But thanks so much for your time. Thank you, Leonel. You survived.
Yeah.
This was kind of scary, but thanks for stepping up to that. And we look forward to seeing everybody in the future. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good job, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.